Chapter 9, 105, Pitiful Victory. Endure, endure it. Success depends on this. We will win if we endure for just a bit more. In the incomplete profound ice house, everyone was screaming loudly. They lost their composure. Outside the incomplete profound ice house, there were an uncountable number of soul beasts. They were like swamps of ants encircling profound ice house in the middle. "How many hidden spots left?" Shark Demon shouted. 178, Bodan immediately reported, even though he could not destroy the mortal goo efficiently. At this point, Fighting Soul Battlefield was close to collapsing. Soul beasts were no longer being produced. Bodan's investigative methods could cover the entire battlefield. 178, Subai Man muttered. Her expression was ugly, but the light of hope in her eyes shined brightly. This number of hidden locations seemed easy to deal with. But in fact, it was very difficult. Firstly, the core immortal goo left were the hardest to deduce and take down. Secondly, the immortals were now inside Profound Ice House. Their methods were restricted. They could not use their methods as freely as before. The immortal goo house had both offense and defense, as well as movement. It was a war fortress with capabilities in all areas, without any apparent weaknesses. The more goo immortals inside the immortal goo house, and the higher their cultivation levels, the more immortal essence they could provide to the immortal goo house, and the more power the immortal goo house could unleash. But there was a flaw in this. That was that the goo immortals could only provide fuel for the immortal goo house. The immortal goo house's offense, defense, movement, healing, investigation, and others were decided based on the immortal goo house's own immortal goo and mortal goo. Thus, Fang Yuan, Ji Shufang, and the others' methods were obstructed by the immortal goo house. They could not be used. From this perspective, ancient battle formations were much better than immortal goo houses. Even though ancient battle formations had been deemed outdated in history after the emergence of countless immortal goo houses, facts show that ancient battle formations still had many advantages. For example, the fighting methods of ancient battle formations were much more flexible than immortal goo houses. An immortal goo house's offense, defense, movement, healing, and investigation abilities were all decided by the immortal goo. They could not be changed. Their power only depended on how much immortal essence was used. They were inflexible. But ancient battle formations were different. Even though ancient battle formations were also made of goo formations, the core was the goo immortals inside. The goo immortals could use their personal immortal killer moves inside the ancient battle formation. Just like during the defensive battle of Langya, Blessed Land, when Fang Yuan and the Hairy Man goo immortals used the second best ancient battle formation, Heavenly Giant Solar. This silver giant would change its form depending on what killer moves the goo immortal used, and the killer move's power would be amplified greatly as well. In all, if it was an ancient battle formation, the immortals might have already destroyed all of the hidden goo worms and obtained victory, but because this was an immortal goo house, they were restricted. It was like climbing a mountain. They only had a small flight of stairs in front before they could reach the mountain peak. But just this small distance was an incredible obstacle to them. In the immortals' perception, time seemed to have slowed down. Every second felt like years. "Are we going to fail again?" Subai Man muttered in disappointment. She showed a dark and defeated expression. But at this time, Ji Shufang stood up. She said heavily to Shark Demon, "I can settle all of the remaining hidden goo worms, but I would need to pay a huge price for my method. If you can give the immortal goo inside to me as compensation, I will help." Shark Demon's expression was ugly. He snorted coldly. Subai Man also showed a ruthless and unfriendly gaze. Ji Shufang's actions were likely to be extortion, but at this moment, they had no other ways left. To complete this difficult task, they could only rely on Ji Shufang. But Ji Shufang asked for an immortal goo as compensation. Immortal goo were extremely valuable. She was really asking for an exorbitant price. But after Shark Demon thought about it for a while, he agreed without waiting for too long. "You can only take one immortal goo. That is my limit." He had undergone an intense competition in Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance to seize the mission for attacking Yulu Blessed Land. Other than a portion of the benefits that had to be given to Eastern Sea Zombie Alliance, The rest would go to Shark Demon and Subai Man. This immortal zombie couple had already invested a huge sum. Their foundations were shaken. The immortal goo inside Yulu Blessed Land were their property. Right now, Ji Shufang's request was simply digging away at their fortune. But one had to say Shark Demon really had a grand disposition. He knew how to assess the situation and give up some benefits when necessary. He could actually hold in his anger and agree to Ji Shufang's request. This made Fang Yan praise him secretly. Ji Shufang saw Shark Demon giving in and did not hesitate. She nodded, smiling. Sir Shark Demon, I am not a greedy person, but one of the immortal goo in the battlefield killer move suits me a lot. I will not dare to ask for more immortal goo. I owe you a favor this time. Go ahead, Master Ji Shufang. Subai Man crossed her arms, saying in a cold tone. This immortal goo was not easy to obtain. Everyone watched with anticipation as Ji Shufang's expression turned serious. Her aura was growing. At the same time, black and white lights appeared on her body. The black and white light swirled around, forming into a big ball. The ball was made of black, white, and gray. It resembled a map and was showing a lifelike scene of the battlefield. In the map, the incomplete profound ice house was a white dot in the center, surrounded by darkness. They were all soul beasts. The hidden goo worms were around the countless soul beasts. They were shining like stars, having very clear locations. Wisdom Path Immortal Killer, Move Distinct Map. Ji Shufang breathed in deeply. She stretched out her finger and pointed at the map. She used her index finger and thumb to grab onto a hidden spot. By exerting some strength, she squeezed. The immortals only heard a soft cracking sound, like something had shattered. Immediately after, Ji Shufang's fingers grinded. When she took out her hand, the goo worms at the hidden spot were destroyed. At once, the immortals gasped. Ji Shufang's Wisdom Path Killer move could bypass profound ice house and attack the outside world with such precision. The soul beasts outside could do nothing to stop it. It was incredible. Even Fang Yuan found it eye-opening. This female immortal, Ji Shufang, might have a terrible attitude towards Fang Yuan, but she was called Master C by Shark Demon. She truly had some abilities. Even though Fang Yuan had the advantage in terms of a good wisdom path inheritance and could surpass Bo Dan, Lu Tan Xin, and Ninth Ghost Finger, against a wisdom path goo immortal like Ji Shufang, he was lacking by a lot. Eventually, Ji Shufang used this distinct map killer move and destroyed most of the hidden goo worms, capturing an immortal goo in the process. When she took out this immortal goo from distinct map, the other goo immortals were all shocked. After losing one immortal goo, Fighting Soul Battlefield broke down rapidly. The remaining immortal goo disappeared quickly, retreating on their own. Countless soul beasts growled. As they growled, they attacked relentlessly for the final time. Profound Ice House was, after all, an immortal goo house. It resisted the soul beast's frenzied attacks until the end. Eventually, the soul beast army disintegrated along with the battlefield killer move. Shark Demon and the others finally obtained victory. But soon they fell into another battlefield killer move. Heavens, how many battlefield killer moves are there in this Yulu Blessed Land? Bo Dan held his head in desperation. After the Fighting Soul battlefield, the Immortals went into another new battlefield killer move, 8 Doors Labyrinth. In this battlefield killer move, the sky and ground were all orange. Other than 8 huge doors around them, there was nothing else. But even the best wisdom path, Goo Immortal, Ji Shufang, showed a difficult expression. She reminded them, be careful. This 8 Doors Labyrinth is used specially to trap enemies. Even though it does not have the killing nature of Fighting Soul Battlefield, it is harder to deal with. Nobody had any rebuttal. 8 Doors Labyrinth was very famous in history. When Goo Immortals were trapped inside, they would lose their sense of direction to a huge extent. Furthermore, each of these 8 doors would only allow one life form inside. After entering, the door would disappear. That was to say, the 8 doors before Shark Demon and Gang meant that they only had 8 chances to explore it. After entering the door, the Goo Immortals would need to fight alone with any help. There were no other Goo Immortals to help them. Rumor says that after entering the door, Goo Immortals will end up in a second area, and make another choice out of 8 doors. In the 8 doors labyrinth, there are 8 areas. Each area has 8 doors. There is only one correct path, however. Choosing the wrong path would just be going in circles. This is a classic labyrinth battlefield. It is very powerful at trapping people. Without a wisdom path, Goo immortals skilled at deductions, there is no way to unravel it. Goo immortals skilled at fighting cannot progress through this. They might even be trapped inside until they die. Shi Shufeng sighed. Even though she was a wisdom path Goo immortal, she was not skilled in deductions. The immortal killer move distinct map earlier had already exposed her foundation. She was a wisdom path Goo immortal, skilled at investigation and long-ranged attacks. She was more of a battle type. Fang Yuan's wisdom path inheritance was good at deductions, but he did not even have the most basic star thought, immortal Goo. One couldn't cook a meal without the ingredients. This was a very awkward state. This is only the first area, we can still retreat, Shi Shufang reminded. In the earlier battlefield killer move, they could probe it, but against 8 doors labyrinth, Goo immortals would be risking their lives to investigate it. They could not even probe it from outside. Yulu Blessed Land's battlefield killer moves are getting harder to deal with. We should be close to completely taking it down? Shark Demon sighed. He wisely chose to retreat. Using Profound Ice House, the immortals charged out and left Yulu Blessed Land. This time, even though Shark Demon and the others unraveled Fighting Soul battlefield, they paid a huge price. It was a pitiful victory. The one that benefited the most was Ji Shufang. She obtained an immortal Goo as compensation. She was overjoyed.